welcome to the Other Part podcast where we explore differences through conversation. Just a reminder that this program is not meant for minors and that we're just having a conversation here. We're not telling you how to live your life as only you can make that decision. On today's episode, we're going to be having a conversation about sex and hygiene. Today, with me, we have two guests who are going to be having a conversation with me about this topic. We have Braceface as well as Teddy Bear. Braceface, could you give us a brief introduction?
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Braceface, easygoing guy, very jovial. I love to go to the beach. I'm addicted to underwear. I love socks. Yeah, that's just me in a nutshell.
All right, thank you. And Teddy Bear, could you just give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Um, I'd say I'm a hopeless romantic, nature lover, also love the beach, equally enjoy the mountains, a lover of life, and I love having conversations that help to broaden the scope of my knowledge.
Thank you for that. So, when it comes to sex and hygiene, it seems like persons are actually taking shortcuts when it comes to their hygienic practices under the premises that they think that they're okay when they're really not. But when it comes to sex and hygiene, do you really think that we are really investing enough as we should when it comes towards hygiene before we actually engage in any sexual activities with another person?
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that's a trick. I think that's a tricky one.
oh, it's a tricky one. Why do you say that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if it's a
Wait.
random act, unplanned,
Hmm.
um, who has time to prepare and wash everything properly. So I think in terms of that, but maybe from the other end, if it is a planned activity, how much preparation are people putting in? I think would be more the question. Are people taking enough care to wash and dry areas properly? Because that's another thing too. Even feet. Why do we have smelly feet? Maybe some of us have sweaty feet, and we need to, after we take a shower or bath, ensure that we dry between our toes properly, before we put on our shoes and socks. So I just think genuine general hygiene care rather is a concern.
Okay. Okay, I can see that.
That topic caught me. Whew. For me, I think it's important to have a proper hygiene, not just as it relates to just sex only, but even also practicing proper oral hygiene. I think that's a must, to be honest, because I've had some episode meeting high class professional individual and the breath is just kicking, and it's like you tend to wonder, how do I tell someone is such in high caliber, high stage, that something is happening with their oral hygiene. And then I realize that I'm not the only person who have encountered with that individual, and realizing that their oral hygiene needs some proper fixing. So my thing is, how do you tell someone that their oral hygiene really needs some work? And because these are really professional individuals that we see them on camera, we see them on media, we see them on social media, but yet still you have such a poor oral hygiene. That's one thing for me. Also, I do have a pet peeve when it comes down to persons who have smelly feet. And it's something that can be corrected, you know? Because what people fail to understand is that when you have a shower when you're drying off, the next thing that you do is wipe between your toes. Because that is what also trap odor, and people fail to understand that. That's another pet peeve. Then I realize that growing up now is that you have this group of person who love individual who have a poor oral hygiene. It's like a turn on to them. I'm like, that this is bacteria. How is that someone with a poor oral hygiene excites you? Yet still to understand the what we call the millennium. That's what we call ourselves now? Millennium?
Millennials.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm trying to understand when did we arrive at that concept to have that form of fetish? You know? And then I realize everyone fetish is different and it's unique. Some person they say, here what? Don't worry about bullshit. Come just as you are. Then I realize you have a next person who said, don't worry as you are. All of when you defecate on me. That's another thing. Then you have some person who say, here what? Just do it in the toilet and I will take it up and put it all over me. Then you have some person who said, don't worry about use the bathroom. Use me as the restroom. So I'm like, no, I'm trying to understand what era do we live in, because it's like a whole new can of worm really open up. And then if you really follow some of these social media sites, I would rather say like Twitter, and if you look at Grindr, they are very vocal as it what they want and what is it that they are looking for. So I realize this sex and hygiene thing, it's taking a 360-degree turn, because what might be a fetish to you might not be a fetish to me. I remember I had an encounter with a very, I won't say what profession the person is. So the
Okay.
person really love when they love the oral aspect, eating the ass. And I remember at one particular time I was really in the activity and the person was enjoying the activity. You know what the person ended up doing to me? Flatulated in my face. And I'm like, what the?
Wow.
And then the person was like, that is the new thing now, doing that. And so I said, you know what? To be honest, I was so embarrassed. It's like each time I see the person, I wish I could just go 6 feet under. So I realize everyone fetish these days is totally taking a 360 turn.
Yeah, maybe I'm too old school for that kind of
Can I tell
um,
you?
excitement. But yeah, I mean, come back to I think oral hygiene is very important. I don't think many people understand the importance of flossing,
No.
brushing your tongue. You talked about just drying between your toes, even just changing your towel and your rag
Mm-hmm.
regularly is part of that, because yes, although the rag and the towel are supposed to be drying off, your body's drying off dead cells
Mm-hmm.
as well, which as you say has bacteria. So it's just many things that we don't take into consideration generally. But maybe I pose a question to the group. Your thoughts on pubic hair and underarm hair. I know for me, one, I personally don't like it for myself, and I know it adds to odor if I sweat.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure what you guys think about that.
For me, I it is mandatory for anyone that I'm with to keep your pubic hair. I hate the sight and the feeling of a shaven body. Simply because one, you don't look like an adult, you look like a little child, and yeah, that's a big turn off for me. And second, I do understand because oftentimes this is an argument for me personally in my relationship, whereas they're arguing about, oh, they're hot and this, and then they make the argument, oh, it's more hygienic, and I'm like, rubbish. All you have to do is just take a shower. If you bathe, that we're not gonna have a problem. But for me, that's my personal preference. And the other thing that I really, really hate about persons who shave, when you're hugging them, it's like you're hugging a cactus because they only shave to where they're visually hairless. But when you hug them and you get close to them, all of these fine hairs that are growing back or that they partially shave in a rush, they're sticking into your skin. No, no, thank you. I'm not interested in any of that. That is not for me at all. So so yeah, please keep your body here if you have any intention of doing anything with me, because um, somebody went against my wishes in my one of my past relationships and couldn't even look at them. I literally was almost turned off by it. So yeah, so that is something that I feel strongly about. I understand that, persons feel differently, but from the conversation, what I'm hearing is that we are not having proper communications with each other, as we're forcing certain expectations on each other without confirming or validating if this is how it goes. Because you can't treat David like how you treat Steve. What David like versus what Steve like is a total different story. And that's how you end up in problems. Like what Grace Face said. They had a airy experience and the individual thought that this is.
Massa, it choked me same time, it choked till I blew.
Yeah. So the difference is that if they had actually taken the time to actually have that conversation with you to say, what are you actually into and have a proper conversation about it, they would have known. This is the first time hearing this because when you said
Hmm.
this, I'm like, people actually do this. I thought this was just a joke on social media because the first time I saw
No,
that was when a stripper was on her head top and doing a twerk, and then she accidentally let a few things loose. But it's the first time I'm hearing this, so I don't understand why that individual have it in their head that this is the new in thing, this is the new acceptable thing. And
hmm,
kind of sound like it's an excuse and they don't want to admit that they lost control of their body in the moment.
hmm. And to stick up in there as it relates to puberty. For me, I don't know. At first, I used to admire it, and then I'm like, I just can't, but because I'm this kind of person that really enjoy taking pictures, so I'm always showing. So can you imagine someone taking a photo, raise the arm, and it's seeing all this
A,
air? I'm
a
like,
big puff of hair.
a big puff. I'm like, what? I know it, and there's something that it can be modulated, meaning it can groom it. So I get that. So for me, because I really do take pictures a lot, I definitely just always just shave my arm, and not just only my arm. I really shave from my private all the way to my knee. So there's only hair on my tibia. That's the only place where it is. And I plan to just do a full body shave. Because for me, one person, yes, we can take a shower. I get that. But we need to understand that air traps oil, it also traps bacteria. And I say hands, and you might be underway bacteria developing from your body there. I know person said we can have a shower, use this soap, this will not, but we cannot fight bacteria. And that is what person fail to understand, that every day we keep producing bacteria. Every day bacteria keeps multiplying. Even though you take a shower this time, there's bacteria still on our body. So I do get what you're saying about the pubic hair. Also, with at first when I started to shave, what I normally do was not to shave fully, but to just groom it into a nice little pattern there. I'm like, I'm just, it was just my thing. I'm like, okay, just get rid of everything, and I just keep maintaining it. So I know you pointed out about the sticky ear, the one that is growing back. But for me, once I realize it growing back, I just continue. Go ahead and share it. Yes, sir, Fox.
All right, you used a word, I'm not, well, I don't know what it means, so enlighten me. You said tibia. What's that? What part of the body is that?
Well, you might call it the leg,
Oh,
the leg.
okay.
Yes, the
Where you
leg.
said from your knee
So
down to
what?
your
So
ankle.
what I start from my private to my exactly from
Knee.
my knee all the way to the ankle. That's your tibia there. So here is just there on that
Jamaican we
part.
call it Jamaican we call it your shin. The front part
Eh.
you call
And
it your
then
shin,
are
right?
some person will say the leg. But
Right.
sometimes you have to be because I know this is a podcast, so you know. But the question, Mr. Fox, you said that the person shaved and you were turned off. So is
Yep.
it that you're saying that the pubic hair was more important versus the tool?
Yes. It's a mind over matter thing because I did not enjoy the experience at all. It was like birthday sex where you're upset with the person, but it's their birthday, so eh.
Okay, that's a new one.
So that right. So I get that Mr. Fox likes let's say hairy bodies.
Hmm.
I
But Mr. Fox, the question is it that the ear because you know you have some men ear that are groom, but you have some it's just like chaotic and you're like, what on earth is going on there? So enlighten us there.
In the words of Spice, I saw me like it.
I don't mind hair, but I hate to see
Fine and free.
pepper grains. Pepper grains annoy me. Better you shave that because it
I
don't look cute.
I don't
Personally.
care. I
No,
don't care.
I get the idea of the shaved genitals versus it there being hair there as a sign of maturity. I appreciate that. I guess I had a previous fetish where my partners were hairless. I had one that literally used to bathe in hair every week, and we couldn't have any interaction unless they had previously or just shaved or used the nair. But let's talk about we said we're talking about sex and hygiene. So
Hygiene.
Oh,
Hmm.
alright,
so
so
after sex, are you guys like just a wipe off? You know, we don't really have to go bathe after, but you can just wipe up and get on with
um
our day or night, go to sleep, kind
I
of.
no, that cannot work for me because sex is such a beautiful thing, but sex is not pretty. So with the type of sex that I intend to have, we need to shower after.
Enlighten that
Yeah,
person. Yeah,
elaborate,
I
please. I'm not
elaborate.
sure.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
get that it
getting it.
is. Yeah, I get the imagery,
I don't see
beautiful,
the
but not.
imagery.
I get it, but I don't know if people understand.
Body fluids are going to be everywhere from your head to your toe. They're going to be all over the furniture, so the sheets do need to be changed. So there's a difference between you actually cuddling and all of that sweat and bodily fluids after the event versus not showing after because you are definitely going to be smelly after because that's a lot of body fluids and sweat, various body fluids. So I don't see hygiene wise how you can not shower after doing that.
Okay.
After
Got
all,
you. Got you.
after a scenery like that, I'm
Mm-hmm.
supposed to not shower, take public transportation, and sit down beside somebody.
No, that's different.
Okay.
That's different. So for
No, no.
me,
I mean, right? Because I really was asking the
it's because
question in
if you
terms of.
know, yeah, if you know you it and you have to leave a person's house, then yes, you definitely will have to take a shower. That is understandable. But if you are there with for me, I basically don't take a shower. We just relax it and we just cuddle, and that's just it. Because even for me, there are days when it's really, when I say messy, I mean creamy, and then you have some person who urinate a lot, so that really excites me as well. So we just relax, and what I want person, because person believe that if I can't really feel comfortable in that state, then can you imagine when I'm in my worst state? So for me, I let person just feel comfortable and be themselves. And I just say, here what? There's no need for you to scorn your own mess, because at the end of the day, it said, once a man, twice a child. And person that fail to understand that saying a lot. And I always say, person say, here what? I know some person based on prior experience, you're ready to clean up it. I said no, just relax. We had a good time, we had fun. Just relax yourself, and if you feel like you need to have a shower, fine. No problem, we can just cuddle, and that's it. I think one of the things is that some person that I even know is that they don't know how to appreciate themselves. Some person just like want to do it and then jump in the shower, and that's it. I'm like, where do you get that from? They're like, that's just the norm. Meeting other person, I say that should not have been the norm. We are having fun. It doesn't matter if they pan power, pan bed, pan floor, ceiling, the grill, anywhere.
I
Yeah.
have a question. I think,
Mm-hmm.
did I misinterpret the question that Teddy Bear
Question.
Maybe.
asked? Because the way that Braceface and I answered the question, we answered it from two different perspectives. So, can you just ask that question one more time?
No, it was
I
the question was like, when you have sex, do you take a shower after, or you just stay as it is? That was the
Alright.
question.
Yeah, so like brace face, the cuddling, etc. after, but certain at a point you're gonna want to get up and clean up. And it is also recommended, particularly for men who are uncircumcised, to just make sure you pull back and wash.
Mm-hmm.
Not any heavy scrubbing, obviously, because you don't want to further irritate anything that's irritating, but just to clean up after. And there's, maybe that's just from a hygienic perspective.
Okay.
Um, but like Braceface says, we don't have to go ew the minute someone ejaculates. Oh my god, ew, and then we're gonna go wash up. No, it doesn't have to be as extreme as that for me.
Alright, so just to clear it up, I thought you were going the other way with that. So, yes, of course, you're supposed to be able to cuddle with your partner after you literally just had sex with them. You did already exchange various body fluids during the act, so why are you scorning them? So, sure, you lay down there and you cuddle with them in the sweat and all of that because it's your own. Why are you scorning them? So, I definitely agree with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another question though, I find that even in this age, people really don't know what hygiene is. Or should I say, is they underestimate the power of hygiene. Like, for
Mm-hmm.
example, persons would be out on the road and they come home, get want to get freaky and all of that, and their attitude towards it is, I'm just going to go into the shower and wash off, which is essentially just jump in the shower, literally turn on the water, let the water run all over your body, and then you step out, dry off, and thinking that you're clean, and then you want your partner to put their tongue all over you, but you're
Mm-hmm.
really not clean. And it's an unpleasant experience for your partner because they're going nose deep into the crevices of your
Oh
body
Lord.
and they're smelling things that you're not smelling because
Ah.
your nose is nowhere near there. And when we try to have the conversation with you, you're you're justifying it to saying nothing wrong with it, my wash off, nothing smell.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
they're discrediting your nose and saying that you're lying. So what do we do then? Because to them, they're clean, but you know that they're clean, but they're oblivious to it. So what then?
Well, for me, because based on my profession, there are times when I'm very blunt, and I will tell you as it is. And if you want to vex, that's just up to you. Because I remember there was this particular person, and I always want to link and everything. So alright then, if that's the case, you can take caution because I said, we are just coming from work, so I interact with a certain group of person. I'm very active at work, so I definitely will have to take a shower. And I said, you also coming from the road, even if you think it might be in AC, there are times when you have to go outside and then you have to take the transportation, you mingle with person, you take a shower. So I remember we were there, and I'm an ears person. I love ears and I love arm as well, so my tongue definitely tend to always enjoy those areas. So I was there, we were having fun. So the person like came out of the shower. So I say, wait, you just went in and out early? Yeah, me done already. So I say, okay then. So I was just being very blunt now. So I said, what I wanted to do, I wanted to just use your hand and just wipe between the back of your ears and tell me what happened. There was dirt. So he was like, it's dirt, Michael. So where you be yourself for? Because you're in that profession and they think you're better than people already. I said, bro, you can't say just have a shower and then your back is literally dry. So me I wonder, where did you shower? And then the person got vexed, put on the clothes left, block me. I don't care, and I just never cared. I just was being truthful, and at the end of the day, it was a lesson for you to learn. Then it was so funny that the same person went ahead to link with somebody. The person said that they were like, because in this community, the first thing that they ask, if I know this person, if I ever met this person. But for me, I believe in this mantra where I don't kiss and tell. So the least I will say, yes, I know the person, is a good youth. So then the person back and say, yo, the person stink, me like, oh, okay. Well, I said, if you have that problem with the person, then you need to say to the person, was like, I said to the person blocked me. I'm like, okay. And then it's the same thing. And then what was so funny is that this person that I ended up to work at a particular organization I was. But the flip side of it, he was my boss. So we're always, him always a throw shades. And what is it for me? I just here to do my work, get my paycheck, leave and go home. So I said, what? This is getting out of hand. I said, here what? I think it's time for you to grow up. And it's time for you to have that conversation. I'm not sure if anyone never had this conversation with you before, but I am going to do it with you. If you don't want to listen, that's fine. I said, here what? Hygiene is a must. Same way how you expect someone to smell a particular way, it's the same that you should do to yourself. I said, listen to me. When you're taking a shower, ensure that you rub the back of your ears. You also use the same rag. You don't have to use a Q-tip, but use the same rag to wipe around the inside. When you're brushing your teeth, you also floss. You also brush your tongue as well. You also brush under the tongue, under the teeth as well. You use Listerine. And I said to if you have a bad oral hygiene, you just lick your wrist, let it dry for a while, and smell it. And you will know if you have a bad breath odor. People, what I realize with this generation, is just about sex. Everybody, it's just a one sex and that's it. And I'm like, that should not be the case. I'm saying, remember, and at the end of the day, it's your body. And you need to have respect for your body. If you don't have respect for your body, that same body is going to embarrass you. So you need to know what is important for you. Then I remember, next example as well, I remember there was this friend who was going to link with a particular individual. So he went ahead and said, hey, ensure that you take a shower. The person took an offense to it. And said, hey, what? I'm not going to worry link with you. But it was the truth, because this is a person that have a very masculine body, very tall, have mass as I can see, and he perspire a lot. So, once you sweat a lot, you are going to definitely carry an odor. So the person say, all I say, sure. And I'm like, I get what they're saying, but sometimes the next thing to that I have to understand is that we have to be careful how we say certain information to person because I'm very blunt and person always take an offense. But I rather tell you the truth and not going. I can't sugarcoat anything. I'm just going to say to you in a professional manner, call you one away. And that's just it. It's not like I go and blurt it out and say, yo, brush your teeth or yo, your arm. I'm not that kind of person. Call you, and I won't even be that kind of person to say, see a toothpaste, yes, I won't give you that kind of gift. I will just educate you on what is the proper and correct way. If you want to take that lesson as an offense, obviously you're an ignorant person.
I disagree with you about the ignorant bit. So what I'd like to say is I agree with you mostly, but a lot of persons out there they're like really sensitive, and I have had a partner of mine in the past, whereas they were sensitive, and due to my experience with them, it has taught me how to tweak my approach a bit. Because I am known for taking the blunt approach as you do, Braceface, because I get it. Easier, straight to the point, you get the message. You're not going through a whole chapter just to tell them, take a shower. And I've had a similar situation multiple times where what I've said to these persons is the following: I take pride in my body, and what I do it out of respect for you. So if I don't take the proper pride in my body to clean it thoroughly for you, it would be similar as to me cooking a meal and giving you to eat out of a dirty plate.
What does
I
what does that what does that what does that entail? Take us through what that is,
okay.
because just like you said, somebody jump into the shower for 2 minutes, soap, a little light soap, just to wash off the day's
All right.
dirt.
All
It's
right.
not preparation. So
No,
what is it
no.
for you? What is it for you then?
It's a full scrubbing. I start from the top of my head. Even if I washed my hair yesterday, I am washing it today because I really don't know what my head actually smells like. My nose don't go so far. Yes, I could use the example that Brace Face used about, rubbing your hand in it and smelling it, but that's not foolproof. And when I am in the act, I don't want to be thinking if I smell or if you smell frownsy or why did they pull away from me and all that. I want to thoroughly enjoy the experience. And for me to do that, I need to ensure that you're enjoying the experience as well. So I need to ensure my hair doesn't smell, it's not overly greasy or filled with hair products. Cleaning the back of my ears, get the Q-tip and clean out my ears all because yeah, quite a few of us like to apply the tongue to the ears all, and earwax is just not on the menu.
I don't like it. Keep it.
Yeah, exactly. And then we go to the mouth, brush your teeth, brush everywhere, brush the gums, brush the roof of your teeth, brush your tongue, the underneath of the tongue. And there's this lovely little device that's out there on the market now that's known as a tongue scraper. Get it. Trust me, it works. I have a thick, long tongue. Yeah, so
Sounds
I need
interesting.
so I
So
need
brush all, and you mean by going all the way to the back of the tongue, right? Because
Yeah, once I started doing it, you actually see the difference. And it's something similar that your mother does to you, does to every infant, where when they drink milk, there is this white film coating that's on the tongue, and the baby may end up getting bad breath because of it. It's not because of oral hygiene, it's literally because there is food stuck on between the creases of your tongue, and you need to have that scraped off. A simple brush is just not going to cut it. So we need to go the extra mile to do that. Because we need to kiss in confidence. Because in this day and age, a kiss is not just a kiss. Kiss is literally your suck out tongue. exchanging saliva, tongue twister, and all of these lovely things. And you want to do that in confidence because you want the person to return these kisses. I don't want to be kissing you and tasting the curry that you had last week, or kissing you and going, is that pork? Where me come from? No, that's not nice. So
And by
I
the time you get to it, it won't taste like work.
exactly. So I have to think of your experience as well. I definitely have to take the extra step in making sure that I clean every nook and cranny.
Right. Question: to douche or not to douche?
Before I get to that question, hold on. Before I get to that question, so my question to both of you, let's say that you are actually in the process of actually kissing someone and you realize that the oral hygiene is kicking. How would you react to that experience?
And moving on to something else. Because the embarrassment alone of what I might say, that would
But
be
the,
the end of that
but the person is
interaction.
going to want to continuously doing it.
Mm-mm.
All right, so my approach is going to be different. As an adult, I now know there's a difference between you never brush your teeth yesterday versus you have food lingering in your mouth that's rotting and decaying for the longest while. So I'm going to sit you down and have a conversation.
But hold on. But remember that you're supposed to be doing
In
something.
the
So
middle
is it
of
that?
kissing, you're
So
going to
is,
say, right.
so is it that in the middle?
No.
Let's just have a conversation. Is it
You're going to say, hold
no?
up, let's stop.
Well,
Let's
Let's talk
talk.
about
Let's
this.
talk. Yeah, I want
um,
to know.
to be honest, I rather do that because I love kissing. So having sex and not kissing, yeah, that's not for me. And plus, if I'm kissing you and having sex with you, I'm going to want to do it again. So it may, I agree with you, it's definitely a killjoy, but they're going to be the only one who's enjoying the moment. And I am definitely not. I'm just going to be there like, all right, hurry up and done.
So what about covering your mouth or bite your lips?
Cover Ufa mouth. For
Your
what?
mouth or bite your lip
Bite my lip for what?
or just do a different position. Say there's no way for that person lip to be there.
Bullshit. If I have to do that, it might just well time my clothes and go sit down.
Hey,
Okay,
I'm
because
done.
kissing gets you
I'm done.
going. All
I'm
right. So
done.
clearly conversations after, but during is kind of tricky. So let's continue, Mr. Fox. You're telling us about your preparation, and I was asking about douching. Is douching part of a routine? Not necessarily that you might want to be penetrated, but just I guess to make sure everything is okay,
Yes,
just in case.
yes, it is extremely important. There are many types of douching. Do the one that is best for you to ensure that you're cleaned as thoroughly as possible. Whether you're a penetrator or a penetratee, you do need to check because you can't. Because one, no, I am not going to dive in with my big long tongue and not check if you're not thoroughly clean. Um, that's not a part of my diet. So no thanks. And similarly, if I am going to be penetrated, when I'm into it, I want to be into it. I don't want to be clenching my body and being all tense and nervous, wondering if it's clean or worrying if the poor person's white sheet are gonna turn brown and all these. No, so it's definitely important.
All right.
But
Recommendations for douching. What do you recommend someone use? Is there anything specific? Just plain water? Because there are concerns about douching, both for men and women, vaginal and anal douching, in terms of getting rid of the bacteria.
I say that's based on your body. You need to know your body and what it works well to, so therefore you are going to have to experiment. There are many douches out there. You need to do the research to ensure that the ingredients that are in these solutions that you're not allergic to and that they're not going to clean you raw. because you're going to end up being overly clean. And if you end up raw in your rectum, then just the finger alone is going to make you climb up the wall in pain. So you need to do your proper research to find out what douching method is best for you. But based on that, I prefer to use water. There is a hose that is sold on Amazon that is made specifically for this, where it's like you insert it into your rectum and you're literally flushing it out. That worked very well, and it's not as intense as you putting chemicals in your ass just to get it clean. So that's the method I like best, because being the fact that it is attached to the water source, you have that constant water flow to actually, go in and out and flush you out. Versus some of my peers, where I hear them saying that they're using a water bottle. That's not enough water. And their response is, oh, just fill it back up again. And I'm like, unless you don't have the privacy to really invest in a proper kit, I don't see why you're going to put yourself through all of that heartache to do it in such an archaic way.
Yeah, I mean, I suggest a general cleansing. I don't know that everybody would necessarily have the resources to invest in the tools that you suggest, but at least ensuring that, if it's a 20-ounce bottle, you work that through at least 2 times. Just kind of make sure that, you're not finding gold before you get to the gold mine.
But yeah, there are many ways to do it, and if all else fails, diet, diet, diet. Eat fiber rich foods. Bananas are real cheap and they're real good at cleaning you out. So unless you are like into fisting, where somebody's going to be inserting their entire arm into your rectum, you don't really need to do that much cleaning if you have a proper diet.
The bottom's really putting me up some persons who really don't eat 2 or 3 days just to say, I don't want to cause any accident. And then you are going to turn around and say, fuck it already, move on. So that means you don't really appreciate the person.
Okay.
Because I always
Absolutely.
wonder.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why I was saying it is putting it down to a commodity, the act, rather than the interaction with the person. So making it very impersonal. I think that also has a lot to do with how we engage as a community in Jamaica. I don't think we've been given enough space to have any kind of solid, healthy interactions that we would create that kind of quality. So which is why I think you would get that response. But that's just my thoughts, Mr. Fox.
I disagree with you. Whether you're straight or in the LGBT community, we both go through this phase or this scenario where there's a risk of you being it. Personally, when I am dating, I tend to have a strict 3 month and 6 month rule before getting too serious with the person. Subconsciously, you both know when one of you is it. The person who's portraying the male role or the penetrator, he already knows that you're it. And you can actually tell as the recipient that you're it right just from the way that he treats you. But because they're telling you all that you want to
Mm-hmm.
hear, you become oblivious to it and talking about, oh, he's so smart, he's so patient. He's not patient, he's patient to an extent. How long is he going to continue this charade? As soon as you drop the jaws and he get what he wants, no
Mm-hmm.
bother me. And you have had all of these signs before from the first words that he says to you, from your interaction, but you're oblivious to it and then you just become it. Or if you're not oblivious to it, then you jump into sex with them talking about, oh, I can change them. Because you think that your underneath is so good that one that sex with me is so amazing that you're going to change this person and they're going to be your prince and you're going to ride off into the sunset happily ever after just because of one night with you. No, it don't work like that. So I say it is our own fault in becoming it, although that is subjective because some there are players out there that play the game like really well. And then there are some guys with some mental issues. They really roll out the husband package until they get the sex, or especially if they're confused. So you would go into it thinking that, this person actually wants you, and then they don't. That's my take on that.
Okay, and what do you think? What is your view of a bottom who really loves sex like this? Like you'll have a particular bottom who loves sex with one person have a massive dick. Then couple minutes after they want three more guy again. Then couple minutes after they want five more. Then they want six more. It's like that is their routine for the week. What is your thoughts on that?
Let's see. I can understand the lust. In having conversations with bottoms who do that, this is the story that I'm hearing. And I personally can relate to them. Whereas we're in a relationship with this individual, this person just simply cannot match your sex drive. And it's extremely frustrating. I remember this story and it still bothers me even now. I don't initiate sex because in the past when I initiate sex, cursing me out and telling me that you're tired and it's your day off and I wake you up early just to do that. I don't get it. And similarly, it's so frustrating when you're there, you're horny, you're ready, you're hot and ready, and then
Mm-hmm.
they're just not ready. So
Mm-hmm.
what am I supposed to do?
Oh, so that's what you're saying that you seek elsewhere. That's what they say.
No, I don't seek elsewhere. I normally just resort to porn or just jerk off. And even when I do that, they still got upset with me and telling me that I must satisfy with what I give them. And I'm like,
That is okay.
so
Yeah, I mean, sex drive is
Yeah.
different from person to person. I mean, it's interesting. So, bare braceface, the scenario you raised, you possibly also consider that a power bottom. I mean, one not just one with the high sex drive, but they also um, demand a certain kind of sex. Um, yeah, I think some of it is also going back to the other bit. Some of it is set up in the gender stereotypes that we have about how we feel about masculinity versus femininity.
mhm.
Um, and I think that is part of the challenge. You also raise a very important point that I don't think as tops, I'd say we don't recognize many times the sacrifices that bottoms go through to ensure that we have
A good time.
a safe, satisfying encounter, a clean, safe, satisfying encounter. Yeah, I know people who, as you said, don't eat because they know the weekend is coming and it's gonna be a busy weekend, you
Hmm.
know. And they don't understand the routines that people have to go through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of that, the bottom shaming is part of this gender stereotyping that we see in wider society that plays over in the LGBT community.
All right.
Yes.
I have a question. As men, do you think that we are properly educated enough about what it means to be hygienic? I disagree with that based on the fact growing up as a young boy, I find that our parents, whether it is that you grow up with your mother or your father or both parents, they're not taking the time to have simple conversation with you growing up as a young boy that you need to draw back your foreskin and clean it properly. The white stuff is not supposed to be piling up underneath the skin of your penis.
That's where you're wrong. Continue.
Yeah, I mean
Now we can finish the
that's
question now. Continue now.
Oh, I thought that was a question.
No,
No.
yeah, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Oh, I'll let
I think it's
Teddy Bear
different.
go.
Yeah, I think it's different from family to family. I mean, it's a mother probably at a point would not explain it and leave that to the father to do. The father might be hesitant um, to explain it because it might need a visual explanation. And again, the stereotypes of, oh, is there something wrong with me showing my boy child what to do as a father. So I think a lot of it is society has set up these things that have um, left us as men in Jamaican society out in the cold, so to speak. Some things that we don't learn. It's just like a father kissing his boy baby up to a certain age and then stop kissing it because, oh, that's so gay. Like, so yeah. And then what do mothers know about penises? Maybe unless she's had a few um boy babies to be able to explain. If you're the first and only boy child, she probably will explain to her daughter how best to care for herself. But what does she know about how a boy should?
I remember. I think you see what I'm trying. But you see what we need to understand is that the person who are really giving birth now is like children. Because if you look at it, a grandmother is at the age of 20. That's how it is in Jamaica now, A grandmother is at the age of 20 versus back then we consider a grandmother to be someone who is old and elderly. Because I remember going to school, there was a particular subject we had to do. It wasn't guidance and counseling. I don't remember its name, but it never fall under guidance and counseling. But it was that subject, and how we did it in primary school was that the girl will have their section for a term, the boys will have their section for a term, and then for the final term we combine both classes. And during that period is that we know how to take care of our bodies because we know the conversation is not really at home. So there were doctors who really came in and tell us what to do as boys and also as female because I remember back then little girls never knew how to wipe because the little girls thought that when you go to the restroom is that you wipe from back to front. That was their misconception. But the correct conception was that you wipe from front to back. And then the next thing as boys, when we urinate, we tend not to really flash. We just urinate and then pull our thing back, underwear. Then we used to have this thing called skid mark.
Me always I use like a piece of tissue because
And then there was
me
and
no
then
want flash for my clothes.
then because back then the restroom was really pit doctrine. So we never really have much time because you are really scared of the pit toilet back then as a child. So I know normal we used to have this education. I remember we used to have boys days for a week and we had girls day for a week. That really teaches us what to do as it relates to our body. But there's a paradigm shift, it's actually children having children. So there's really no generation growing up children as though it was back then. Because even though daddy might not be a part, there's always an elder in the family to say, here what? This is all you do as a man. This is what you are expected as a female. This is what you do. You help mommy cook and wash plates as well. You help to do the chores whether you're a male or a female. But
From everything that we've discussed today, it seems like we are putting expectations on people that they cannot live up to, meaning that they genuinely just don't know any better, but in our heads, we think that they do. Irregardless of their upbringing or their education, when it comes to hygiene, it matters. They really don't know, and there is no proper way for them to find out about this? Because it's
Mhm.
just recently on YouTube, there is a proper video showing you how to use condoms, how to actually put it on, and a lot of people are still unaware of this video. So, what can we do as a solution to close the close the door of ignorance in regards to this?
Yeah, I think as Braceface mentioned earlier, facilitating some education as part of the school system, because the parents may not have the time to, or have the capacity to, because maybe they're also uneducated themselves. um, Kids spend a lot of time with their peers, and maybe some shared learning with their peers is useful education, which is why I'm all for health and family life education in the schools, including condom use. Not that we're arming children to go out and have sex, but if they do want to experiment, which we know they will, that they'll have the tools, right? And have the proper tools. Yeah, they know about condoms, but do they actually know how to use it? Particularly when we promote a certain kind of sex, aggressive, etc. So I think there are ways that we can facilitate learning and shared learning about certain things in society, proper hygiene, proper etiquette, etc. That's
I think the way how we see information now is like we are hiding information from boys and girls. And that is why there seems to be, God forgive me, but it is the truth. That is why there tend to be a lot of rape amongst our teenagers, because I remember as a child, we said here what talk. You see, a minute a child start to talk here, the person, you chat too much, shut your mouth. So that child would definitely tend to be quiet, and once that child is going through a form of hurt, a form of problem, they need help with something, they don't want to talk. And when they even go to a psychologist or a counselor, it's like you're making, yes, stone out of bread with these children. I think one of the things that we need to look at is to go back to the days when we had conversation. Go back to the days when there was campaign on TV, there was ad on sex. Everybody think that sex is like a sin. Everyone thinks sex is a sin, but if you look at a simple child advertisement, the advertising like a simple peanut, it's sex. The advertising a simple chocolate, it is sex. The advertising a simple toy, it is sex. So if that is what is selling, then we need to have that proper educational campaign for both boys and girls, and it continues throughout high school, so we can eradicate this teenage pregnancy, because what we understand is that these children are exploring. They hear something, I think I need to try it. And what is so funny, the person who talks a lot, they are not the one doing it, but it's always the one who do it the first time get catch. And then we also need to understand that peer pressure, it's real. It's not only peer pressure, but even adults as well go through a form of pressure. So we need to educate our children as it relates to pressure. Not because Tom is doing it and Tom get away means that you must do it as well. I remember as a child growing up, we used to have field trip, go to the prison and say, here what? If you do wrong, this is what is going to happen to you. But you see, because education and everything just watered down, they expect parents to do everything. I remember they saying it was a village that raised a child. If I do something wrong, I can expect a beating from my neighbor. I can expect a beating from the person up the road. And trust me, when I reach home, I am going to get a beating from everyone who live inside my home. So this thing, like everybody say, me not business about cherry picnic, me not business about time, cause them a man and them a woman, I leave them alone. It's no longer a village raising a child. And that's just it. Everybody is to themselves, everybody head out. You step on my toe today, not gonna be silent, I'm not gonna say, yo, you say, and that's a society. So that is something we also need to look at. And the next thing also we need to look at is to ensure that we have our homes are equipped with the proper hygiene tool. Some person think that all deodorant works for everyone, all toothpaste work for everyone. We need to understand that everyone's body is different. So not because that deodorant work for Tom, chances are it will not work for Cherry, it will not work for Peter. And people also need to understand their body. Nobody seems to look in a mirror and try to really, you know what, let me just strip naked and really learn about my body. Nobody tend to understand that, and also people fail to understand that if you have multiple sex partner, you know that your body odor is going to change. Person fail to understand that. That's just my say and my solution.
I endorse that message.
So my take from that, based on everything that we've discussed today, is that the educational program is definitely needed. Easy solution would be similar to the condom video on YouTube. Perhaps
Mhm.
there is a video out there that on YouTube that exists where it shows the proper way for you to fully clean your body from your head down
Hey,
to your
Mr.
toenail.
Fox, you realize that when COVID came out, many of us didn't know how to actually properly wash our hands.
Yes, that is
Right.
very true. That
Right.
is very true.
So there are many other things that clearly we don't know. We need 20 seconds. We need a nursery rhyme that we can sing
Mhm. Mhm.
around just washing our hands so we get the time, watch each finger,
Mm,
go around, not just a quick soap up and a rinse off. So maybe, yeah, wash behind our ears. How do we do those things? Make it
yeah,
creative and fun so we actually learn. Sorry, I cut you. You
it's
can
okay. All right. So, but as much as that is a solution, due to the restrictions of social media and even our own public radio and TV, it's going to be so whitewashed or watered down,
Mhm.
whereas it's going to be no different from a regular talk show where those who know fully understand what it's talking about, and then at the end of the show, well, if you want to learn more, go here to learn the rest, and that's counter effective. You need to actually have somebody create a video from the showing them how they wash their hair, how they clean out their ears, cleaning their teeth, tongue, and cleaning out your private parts. Because even in my old age, I'm seeing on social media about this vaginal wash, and I'm like, I thought all
Mhm.
they used was just soap and water. I didn't know they had to do this extra step. So imagine the actual many, many women out there who are like, what is this for? I think we need to now acknowledge that there's a lot of persons out there that really don't know how to clean themselves properly. And it's not a
Mhm.
case that they're nasty or lazy, they just really did not know. Because even in their responses as to when Graceface tried to educate someone about it, they took offense to it and they thought that you were just telling them that they were nasty and this and whatever, when it really wasn't the case. And you can see that they really didn't understand what they were doing. So it's just a point of where they don't know and they can't see it from a different angle. So the best step is to actually have a social media program out there to show everybody what it really means to actually clean
Mhm.
yourselves.
Hygiene is just something important that we need to learn. It's probably also, if we encounter something, we need to find some ways to have the conversation. As I say, the person not going to understand how bad their breath smells because even you with your nose right by your mouth, you still have to get up and brush your teeth in morning time.
Mhm.
You really, you really don't know how bad it smells unless somebody else tells you, right?
Mm,
So we need to find some ways to maybe have the conversations in empowering ways, not disempowering ways.
yes.
Mm.
Thanks for listening. This has been Mr. Fox, and I'm looking forward to joining you with another conversation next time. And please remember, you can always follow us on social media. You can just type in Odda Part on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. And don't forget YouTube. So that is ODDAPART. See you next time.